Welcome to Dark Philosophy. Today, we are exposing a silent disease that destroys a man's respect faster than financial bankruptcy. It is the submissive urge to explain yourself. Think about how you operate in your daily life. Someone doubts your loyalty, someone questions your ambition, or someone misinterprets your silence. Your heart rate spikes, you immediately open your mouth, or you start typing a massive wall of text. You think you are defending your honor. But in the laws of dark psychology, you are committing emotional suicide. The exact millisecond you try to fix your image in someone else's mind, you are subtly kneeling before them. You are telling them, your validation is the oxygen I need to survive. Weak men perform for an audience that isn't even watching. Dangerous men destroy the stage entirely. In this video, we are breaking down the brutal mechanics of strategic silence. We will explore why stopping the urge to explain makes you instantly unpredictable, feared, and completely untouchable. If you are ready to stop being handled by lesser minds, listen to every single word. Let us begin.
Let us look at the raw mechanics of human confrontation. Picture two men in a heated argument. One is loud, defensive, his face is red, and he is throwing words left and right, desperately trying to be understood. Now look at the second man. He is completely still. His eyes are fixed on his opponent. He does not interrupt, he does not blink, and he does not utter a single word of defense. Who holds the absolute power in that room? It is always the silent observer. Human nature is deeply conditioned to expect a reaction. When someone attacks or criticizes you, they are expecting you to dance to their rhythm. They want to map your mind. But when you deny them your words, you break their psychological patterns. Your silence becomes a dark, empty mirror. It forces them to sit with their own noise, their own tracking errors, and their own deep-seated insecurities. Silence creates a vacuum, and in human psychology, anything that cannot be predicted breeds a quiet, unspoken fear. When they cannot map your thoughts, they can no longer control your actions. You become a closed book in a room full of open pages.
Why do we have this toxic addiction to explaining ourselves? It stems from a childish illusion that the world operates on absolute fairness. We genuinely believe that if we just find the perfect combination of words, people will finally see our truth. But here is the cold, unvarnished reality. People do not see you as you are. They see you through the distorted lens of their own trauma, their own envy, and their own intellectual limitations. You could speak with the precision of a philosopher, and a toxic mind will still find a way to manipulate your narrative to suit their agenda. Machiavelli once noted that everyone sees what you appear to be, but few really feel what you are. Chasing after people to patch up your reputation is like trying to catch smoke with your bare hands. It is a fool's errand. The strategic man understands this truth early. He does not waste a single drop of his finite mental energy trying to manage petty perceptions. He states his boundary exactly once, and then he completely detaches. He willingly grants people the absolute freedom to misunderstand him, because he knows his reality does not require their consensus.
Let us look deeper into the shadows of human behavior. When you stop explaining yourself, you're not just keeping quiet. You are executing a tactical withdrawal that completely shifts the power dynamic. In dark psychology, this is known as absolute detachment. Most people are desperately addicted to validation. They look left and right, scanning every room, waiting for someone to give them a nod of approval.
they are fragile. But when you willingly allow people to think you are wrong, you cross a threshold of supreme power. Think about the immense freedom of that moment. Someone says you are arrogant. You smile and say nothing. Someone claims you will fail. You simply nod and go back to your work. You leave them hanging in midair. By refusing to enter the boxing ring of their opinions, you make their words completely useless. They wanted an argument, but you gave them an empty void. Your silence signals that their existence and their judgment do not possess the weight required to disturb your inner peace. You become an unmovable object in a world full of chaotic noise.
Look at the historical figures who mastered the dark arts of power. They never held press conferences to justify their private motives. They did not write letters to their enemies explaining their grand strategy. They operated under the law of stealth. They built their wealth in absolute silence. They upgraded their skill sets behind closed doors. And they let the heavy impact of their results shatter the minds of their critics. When you waste your breath explaining what you were going to do or why you did what you did, you bleed your execution energy. You are trading your actual power for temporary social comfort. A true professional gamer of life does not show his hand before the cards are played. He moves like a ghost. If people want to believe you are the villain in their small story, let them have that illusion. Save every ounce of your focus for upgrading your digital environment, building your financial independence, and mastering your discipline. Let your success be so loud that it completely suffocates their petty narratives, without you ever having to speak a single sentence.
As we close this chapter of dark philosophy, it is time to make a ruthless pact with yourself. From this exact second forward, the old version of you is dead. No more long paragraphs defending your intentions on a screen. No more raised voices trying to win a useless argument at a table. If someone misjudges you, look at them, acknowledge it with a cold stillness, and let the heavy silence dominate the room. Your character is an iron fortress. It does not require a license or a stamp of approval from lesser minds to exist. Speak your reality exactly once, then let them drown in their own confusion. Remember, in a world full of desperate performers begging for attention, the man who needs absolutely nothing from anyone becomes completely impossible to manipulate. He becomes dangerous. If this dark law has finally penetrated your mindset, drop a 100 in the comments section below to lock this authority into your subconscious. Thank you for walking this dark path with us today. Subscribe to Dark Philosophy Pro. Keep your chess moves hidden, and as always, stay dangerous.
Let us dissect another deep layer of dark psychology: the illusion of the audience. Most men live their lives as if they are constantly walking on a brightly lit theater stage. They believe every eye is on them, tracking their mistakes, analyzing their posture, and remembering their social failures. In psychology, this is known as the spotlight effect. But here is the liberating, brutal truth. The spotlight is a ghost. It does not exist. The people you are trying so hard to impress or explain your life to, they are not thinking about you. They are not judging your character. They are far too busy drowning in their own insecurities, managing their own weak performances, and worrying about what others think of them. You are burning your precious, finite mental energy, trying to fix your image inside minds that are already chaotic and broken. The dangerous man realizes that public opinion is not a solid rock. It is shifting sand. When you stop performing for a crowd that is essentially blind,
you instantly reclaim your psychological freedom. You stop shrinking your presence to fit their narrow gaze. When you transition from an explainer to a silent observer, you change how people perceive your overall status. In the hierarchy of power, the individual who over-explains is always viewed as a subordinate. Why? Because an explanation is a subconscious plea for mercy. It is you saying, "Please do not cast me out. Please understand my value." A high-value asset, a true master of the game, does not negotiate his worth. He simply presents it. If someone questions your methods or doubts your capability, do not waste your breath mapping out your intelligence for them. Let them remain in the dark. Let them miscalculate your strength. In dark strategy, allowing your opponent to underestimate you is the ultimate tactical advantage. While they are busy celebrating their false assumptions about your weakness, you are quietly building your empire behind enemy lines. You are upgrading your tools, securing your assets, and sharpening your focus. Your silence is not weakness. It is the ultimate shield that keeps your true moves completely invisible until it is far too late for them to react.
We must also look at the cold nature of social relationships. The harsh reality of human nature is that almost all social connections are deeply conditional. People stay close to you as long as there is an exchange of value, whether emotional, financial, or strategic. When you try to explain yourself during a conflict, you are often trying to force a connection that has already lost its core utility. You are begging them to see a value that they have chosen to ignore. The dark philosopher does not beg. He looks at human transactions without any bitterness, but with absolute clarity. If a relationship, a partnership, or a connection requires you to constantly defend your basic dignity, you simply close the door. No dramatic announcements, no long emotional goodbye notes, just an absolute cold freeze. You pivot all that diverted energy entirely back into your craft, your physical form, and your personal goals. When your personal value becomes undeniable and self-sustained, the very people who forced you to explain yourself will be the ones knocking on your door, begging for your attention. Let us build the final fortress of your mind. Why do we care so deeply about being misunderstood? It is because we have anchored our self-worth inside other people's heads. We have given temporary, fragile individuals the keys to our mental peace. A strategic man operates on an entirely different software. He builds a system of internal validation. His standard of excellence is determined by his own discipline, his own execution, and his own ruthless tracking of his goals. If you know exactly what you are building, if you know the pure integrity of your work ethic, why do you need a lesser mind to verify it? When you stop seeking their confirmation, you become an unmovable force. You no longer look left or right for a nod of approval. You look directly ahead at your targets. Let them call you cold. Let them call you distant. In the dark laws of authority, being respected and feared through your results is infinitely more valuable than being liked for your explanations. Your silence is the brick and mortar of your emotional independence. Secure the perimeter of your mind and let no outside noise breach your focus. To truly master the art of silence, you must look at your life through the lens of absolute time. Think about the worst social humiliation you experienced last year. Think about that moment you replayed 100 times in your head, sweating with anxiety, wishing you could explain yourself to everyone who witnessed it. Where is that moment now? It is dead. It exists only as a ghost inside your own memory. The people who saw it have already forgotten it. They are moving on with their own temporary lives.
Time is a brutal, beautiful eraser. It grinds petty arguments, rumors, and social perceptions into absolute dust. Knowing this, how foolish is it to spend your precious, limited hours fighting to adjust how you exist inside someone else's fleeting thoughts? Drop the baggage. Not because the situation didn't hurt, but because you refuse to carry a dead moment into a living future. The universe does not record your social awkwardness or your temporary setbacks. Only your weak ego does. Let the past bury itself. Walk away from the noise, keep your mouth shut, and focus entirely on creating a legacy that time itself cannot easily erase.
We have reached the final truth, the ultimate law of dark philosophy. In a society driven by loud, desperate performers begging for a single second of online attention, stillness is a superpower. The moment you stop explaining yourself, you stop performing. And the moment you stop performing, you become unforgettable. You enter a realm where you can no longer be blackmailed, manipulated, or managed by external opinions. From this moment on, let your silence heavy up every room you enter. Speak only when it alters the state of the game. Move like a shadow, execute like a professional, and build your empire in absolute secrecy. If you have traveled with us through all 12 chapters of this psychological blueprint, prove your commitment. Drop a 100 in the comments section below to signal that you have officially broken the chains of approval. Subscribe to Dark Philosophy Pro to constantly weaponize your mindset. Thank you for watching. Reclaim your silence, protect your next moves, and as always, stay dangerous.